this video I'm going to be covering off some of the changes which have been proposed by the Labour League Government's Employment Relations Amendment Bill 2018. In this particular video I'm going to cover off two aspects of that bill. One is in relation to union access to the workplace, and the second is an entitlement for union delegates to have paid work time to undertake their delegate duties. So let's talk first of all about union access to the workplace. What the bill is proposing is to remove the requirement for union representatives having to get the approval of the employer before they come onto the worksite. Now, if this particular change goes through as drafted, employers are going to need to be very careful because they won't be able to unreasonably withhold approval for a union representative to come onto their worksite, and if they do, they will be subject to penalties under the Act. So it's not all bad though. The union representative will still have to comply with whatever health and safety and security requirements the employer has in place. So that means if they have to sign in, be accompanied in the whilst in the workplace, all the other requirements which are currently provided for in the Employment Relations Act, they still survive. The only thing which employers will have to watch is that they don't unreasonably withhold their approval for a representative being on their worksite. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is union delegates. So the bill is proposing a new section, section 18A, which will make it mandatory for employers to provide paid work time for union delegates to undertake activities in the workplace. Now, there are some rules which are set out in the bill which determine how this happens. First and foremost is that the employee has to be appointed as a union delegate. The second component of this is they must be undertaking activities for employees of the employer. So they can't say, hey, I'm a union delegate and I'm going off to another organisation to help them. That's not what this change is about. It's only about providing paid work time to undertake union activities as a union delegate, an appointed union delegate, for employees of the workplace in which they are employed. The third, and this is quite important, proposal in the bill is that in undertaking the activities of a union delegate, it's important that these aren't seen as disruptive to the working operations of the employer, and also that they don't interfere with the performance of the employee, in this case the delegate, in terms of performing their duties. So on balance, this seems to be sort of like an okay change which has been put forward. It's basically saying if one of your employees is elected or appointed as a union delegate to represent members in your workplace, you must give them reasonable paid time to undertake activities to support members of the union within your workplace. They must also balance that to ensure that those activities, or when they undertake those activities, are not going to cause unreasonable disruption to your operations, and also they're not going to unreasonably disrupt the performance of the delegates' performance of the duties for which they are employed. So there seems to be a little bit of balance in that proposal. So section 18A is going to require a delegate and an employer to have a conversation about the activities which the employee intends to undertake as a union delegate. So this will take out some of the angst between what the employee is doing and when they're doing it. So there's a couple of ways that can be done. They can agree on what activities will be covered and allowed without the employee having to come to their employer every time and ask for the okay to undertake those activities. So that's one way. The other way is each time the employee wishes to undertake an activity, they can come and have a discussion at that time about that particular activity with the employer, and talk about what it is and how long they expect to be involved in that activity. So they've got a handle on what sort of impact that's going to have in the workplace. Now, the employer can decline their approval of the employee undertaking activities at a particular time if that time is going to create unreasonable disruption to the operation of the workplace. So that's quite a reasonable accommodation. They can also decline if undertaking the activities is going to have an unreasonable impact and disrupt the employee's performance of their duties. So that's a second out which the bill proposes. So I think there's some good balance in this particular aspect of the bill. It'll be interesting to see how these proposals survive through the reading stages, but that's what they're indicating at this stage.